Hey, Matrix Live. Ben here. I'm here with Annie from Ditto Chat. You might have seen Ditto Chat. Today is the 15th of November 2019. Yes, it's been that all
Mhm.
day. And hey, I'm here with Annie. She's been working on a new client based on React Native. Annie, why don't you say hello?
Hello. Yes, that is me.
Cool. So what is your project? Why don't we start with something? How did you get into Matrix? What made you want to get involved with this?
Yeah, so basically I don't even know, like several months ago, I wanted to build, or I didn't even want to build it yet. I wanted to start a group chat with my friends. And no matter what platform I chose, I didn't even know about Matrix at this point, but no matter what platform I chose, one person was going to be upset, either like they didn't like Discord or like they're trying to get off Facebook. And so it was all these different problems. And so I was basically like, well, forget all these. I'm just going to build my own chat app. And wouldn't it be awesome if I could like connect them to a bunch of different things?
Sounds pretty optimistic.
And like a bunch. Yeah, I was like, I don't even know if this technology exists, but
Hmm.
I can try. And so I started Googling just like how to connect two different chat apps, how to use like the WhatsApp API and just like stuff like that. And by Googling all that stuff, I came across Matrix. I didn't even really understand what Matrix was at first. I had to like read all the facts and like or FAQs and really sort of like dig into it before I was like, oh, this is epic.
Yeah.
So that was basically how I found it.
Cool. Cool. So, what is your background? You're a developer, I guess. If your first thought was, "Well, I could build this," then you must have some programming experience. Is that your day job?
Yeah, so I just graduated last December. I had a comp sci degree
Hmm.
from Baylor University. We're undefeated in our football team. It's
What is that?
fine.
What is it? Baylor?
Baylor University.
Where's that in the world?
It is in Waco, Texas,
Okay.
Central Texas.
Cool.
Little, if you've heard of Fixer Upper,
Yeah.
that's where it is.
I've heard
But I
of
don't know
I've
if the
heard of
UK
Waco.
has
Is
heard
that
of it.
the same Waco that I'm thinking of?
Probably.
Okay.
I think there's only one Waco,
Okay. I don't know.
but I'm pretty proud of my
Yep.
hometown. So that's where I'm from. That's where Baylor is. Um, and so yeah, I graduated last December. And what was the question?
What are you doing? Your first thought was, "Oh,
Oh,
I better do some programming." When presented with a problem, you thought, "I'll write some code." So,
yeah. So I got a comp sci degree, and my day job is actually working with React Native on essentially apps that can be customized for churches. So pastors can customize our app and like use it for their congregation.
okay.
And so React Native is like my thing. I
Mhm.
know React Native,
Yeah. Well, like
and so
white
that's
label
why.
is what it's really white label is what it's really suited for, where you just rebrand the app and can customize it whatever you want to do, I guess.
Uh, that's what like my job is, like creating apps for that.
Yeah.
But React Native itself is good for any kind of app, so not just white label.
Okay. Cool. So are you interested in any other tech? I've written down like what tech are you into, but it sounds like React Native is like a pretty primo thing for you.
Yeah, so I started with React. That was like the first thing that I was really interested in. Because I was an artist before I was a developer. And so that's why the visual side of things and like UX is really just like important to me. Um, and so I started with React. When I found React Native, I actually just cried because I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I can use React for mobile devices. Anyways,
Are you finding
um,
you can really reuse a lot of the skills from React? Like how much of it is reusable? Yeah, mostly.
a a ton of it, yeah. I
Okay.
would say the barriers to entry with React Native are just like some random gotchas of like figuring out how mobile works versus web.
Yeah.
um yeah, because they're just like there are random errors that will crop up in Xcode that you're like, I have no idea what that
Well,
means.
Xcode's
But
notorious for that, right? It just dumps a bunch of errors on you without, unless you're already an iOS developer. And sometimes it's super. I mean, even just building Ditto from the source that you provided, like I had a bunch of Xcode errors that needed to be
mhm.
before I could even start. So yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just like you have to kind of learn the language of mobile, and then you're like, oh, I know exactly what that error is. I can like fix it.
And you're much more focused on iOS initially, I guess. Is that
Yes, just because I'm a Mac and I have an iPhone, and so it's easier.
more from the user side than the developer side?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, so you found you wanted to build a what we call interoperable product. Matrix was already that, so you got on board. Is that right? Is that correct?
Yeah, just like as I started learning about it, particularly, I think what drew me to Matrix was the fact that it's like SMTP. It's literally just a protocol that multiple apps can use. I have this ideal future in my mind where there's like 10 really nice chat apps in the world, and like people just use any of them, and
Yeah.
they're all just Matrix, and you can just talk with them, and it's
That's,
great.
funny enough, that's our dream too. That's exactly what we want.
Perfect.
Not to exclude other protocols, but interoperability needs to be the absolute top of everything. Decentralization is a big part of that. You need to be able to keep it to yourself.
Yeah, I'm also like, I love that because I know exactly where all of my data is. Like, I run my own home server, so if I don't want like a huge company to have all my messages, well, I can just have them all myself.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. So, okay, with that in mind then, your friends who are using Matrix, this was originally a sort of friends project. What are you doing with them now? Do they have accounts on your home server?
So only my husband does because he's sweet and he agreed to.
Right. So yes, not okay. Right. As in he's who's volunteered to actually sign up and do it.
Yeah, I do have one other friend that wanted the bridging functionality, and so I set him up with his own home server. He's actually the first one that's on my like Ditto.chat home server, so that's cool. But yeah, so most of my friends, they are on Telegram, and so I have settled for bridging to both Facebook and Telegram. So I talk to, like, I use Riot, and then I talk to my friends on their respective platforms.
So are you running the Matrix bridge on Eloquin.io? Yeah. You're not
well,
running
I'm using Matrix Docker Ansible deploy, and then just enabling the bridges. So.
Yeah. So it's Chile. As I understand it, it's Chile's Telegram bridge. That's and that's Slavy's set of playbooks. Yeah, they're really good. That's pretty much all I do now is use those playbooks. What have I said? Oh yeah, so Ditto.chat was going to be /is a public home server, but one that was only activated through the Ditto app. What's going on there? Have I got that right?
Yeah, so this is actually a recent development where I was like, okay, what if I just make it a public home server that anybody can just make an account on? Originally, so I am definitely not a server person. I can handle myself, but I was like, that is probably going to be too complicated. Like, I don't want to be responsible for that.
It becomes a full-time job.
But
right.
Exactly. But I'm like, can't be that hard. Like, surely I can do it. So I'm gonna try. So yeah, it will be a public home server. People that sign up with Ditto Chat, so like registering for a new account, will be on the Ditto Chat home server. Long term, I do plan on having a web app, and then long term, like desktop app, watch app.
Yeah.
Like
all rooted from the work you're doing today with React Native, or separate projects?
So mostly separate projects, I think. I might be able to bring over components from the React Native project because I'll probably use React for the web app. But I've never built a watch app, so we'll see how that goes.
Cool. Is there a target from React Mobile for the for watches? Essentially, just a smaller form factor of the same thing, or is it?
I think they're working on it. So like React Native, like for watches. I know I've seen like whenever you create a default React Native project, it has TV OS. So I know you can like create TV apps. But I'm pretty sure I read recently that they're working on like allowing it to be for watches too. I just don't know for sure about that yet.
tvOS is pretty much iOS, as I understand it, or maybe.
Maybe. I'm actually not sure. I've never built a TV app.
You know, I know I've never gone down that road with Apple. To be honest, I mean, you're so like hyper about Apple dev. I find it really, I don't know. It's just never suited me very much. To be honest,
I'm sorry.
I guess Swift maybe is a way in. And to be fair, I haven't really looked at Swift very much.
Well, I had a PC like all through college, so all of my like computer science programs and like all of those were built on Windows. But it was a job that I had last summer as an internship, where they gave me a Mac to work on. This was like where I did a ton of React development, and I just really liked the workflow of Macs. And I'm the type of person to not be like, oh, Mac is better, oh, PC is better. Like they both have their pros and cons. But I just personally prefer Mac for development.
I mean, the office here is a mixture of, like, I'm on a Mac all day, of mostly Linux desktop and some Macs, and then like a weirdly, I don't know why people are using Windows. they are. There's a few people doing it. No very strong preference, but yeah, I guess it's more the dev side that's. Anyway, we're way off topic here. Okay, so what I wrote was that I was confused, but I think you actually answered these questions in the room, but maybe you can reiterate it. Is it a client or a service or an SDK or all three?
Okay, so right now it is a client. And I would say right now it's only an iOS client. Since it's React Native, it will be Android, but I'm just not focusing on that part right now. And I have had like just kind of thoughts in my head. It was pretty difficult for me to get the Matrix.js SDK working on React Native. And the reason for that is because the node that's running is using like basically only browser stuff. Off the top of my head, it's like events and buffer, and then like events emitter or something like that, like FB emitter.
It's using event emitter.
Yeah, and so I had to basically, there was no clear indication of this, and so I had to sort of just figure it out and like kind of hack my way into using it in React Native. And then there was one other weird error, but I don't have to get into it. So yeah, because of all that, I was like, at some point, I would really like to make it an SDK and create like just an easier way for other people to use this in React Native.
I mean, could you extract?
So that's much longer term.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
No. I mean, is it possible to extract the work you've done from the client and sort of essentially make it a library and go down that road? I mean, is that the practice that you do?
So I definitely think that's a possibility, but I am thinking. So one of the other main things that I need to look into is essentially caching on React Native, because I've seen the class in the JS SDK that's called like Matrix in Memory Store, which I'm just looking at all that, and like it seems like that is how you store data for like future use, but it doesn't work. It basically doesn't work with React Native, because the way that you cache in React Native, it has to stringify like objects. And so the behavior I'm seeing is that the classes, when I get them out of the cache, they no longer like work. Like a room, for example, I'll put it in the cache, and then it's a circular reference, and so I have to like remove the circular reference. And so when I get it out, it's broken.
Okay. I mean, so I think it maps to IndexedDB eventually. So I guess you just need to have another way of storing. But yeah, I mean, this is what development is, right? This is you figuring this stuff out. Cool. I mean, on which subject then? Maybe we should jump a little bit ahead. Like, you are looking, or you're open to having, new people involved, or people come and help you.
So if there's just like a random person that's like, this is a cool project, I want to get involved. For one thing, you can download it on iOS. I have it on Test Flight. There's a Matrix room that you can join. I don't know if we can put the link somewhere for people.
Yeah, we will.
Cool. Yeah. And in the header of that room, you'll see the link to Test Flight and the repo, and also a feedback site that I use. And so you could, on the feedback site, that's another thing you can do, is you can say, hey, I want this like feature. So feature requests and bug reports. So if you see something that's just like not working right, or it crashed, and then you can just join. You can actually just join the room and chat with us, be like, hey, you should do this thing, like just ask me questions about it. And then yes, contributing like code and merge requests, that's totally welcome.
Yeah.
At whatever level you want to do.
Yeah, I'm eager to get started doing that. The day job is getting in the way, but yeah, I'm quite eager to do that. So you talking of collaborating with others, was there somebody else who was working on a React Native SDK that you were talking to, or is that not happening?
I don't think so. The only other anything React Native related to Matrix was an app that I saw by Tulier, Remux, but it looks like he wasn't working on it anymore. So I haven't seen anything else React Native.
Right.
So.
Cool. And what about E2E from the existing SDK? Does that work in Ditto today, or is that a future planning thing?
That is not working yet, but it is a goal. It's in the plans.
Okay, cool. Is there a blocker on that in terms of stuff needed, or is it just there's some issue with the SDK that you need to resolve?
I basically just haven't gotten that far.
Okay.
There are just a lot of like features that I'm working through and trying to prioritize, and so I haven't thought that far ahead.
So you started talking earlier about having a big interest in UX, and I can see in the room you've put a lot of thought into like who the users are, not wanting to get kind of caught up in the way that like Riot has done, which is to say that it's developers first, it was kind of techies first, fine. But if you want to go a little bit bigger and a little bit broader than that, then you need to think about the market a bit more. What are your UX thoughts for the immediate versions of Ditto?
So target wise, I'm probably thinking like college age, like think the GroupMe market actually. Those are the people that I'm kind of heading towards. And the thing that I'm sort of thinking of is like, if I can't get like the influencer in a friend group to adopt this, then it won't catch on. It has to be that one friend that's like, hey, you guys, I found this cool chat app. Let's all use it for our group project. And from there, it can spread. But the thing is, going back to the UX, like you were asking about, if the app does not perform like other chat apps, then they have no reason to choose it, because until I give them features that like are setting it apart from Telegram, WhatsApp, Messenger, then why would they choose something that performs worse?
Okay.
So
in matching the other existing apps first and then thinking about features.
Because users are very visual, and like they will notice if something feels off or if the performance is bad. Like if there's a loading indicator every time they open the app, like that's going to bother them. And so it's just like, it's small things like that I'm like, I have to like blow this out of the water performance wise so that people give it a chance.
I see. Okay. So that's I've written WhatsApp like, but I guess the thing to focus on is GroupMe is the first thing. See, I shows how out of touch I am. I don't even really know the UX of GroupMe. So
no, so I'll be honest. I don't actually like the design of WhatsApp or GroupMe.
Okay. Interesting.
I
mean, WhatsApp.
I personally,
it's so neutral. I don't know. I thought WhatsApp was like the baseline of things. No?
Well, see, so I was a Messenger user, so like that's the one that I'm familiar with, and I like the more rounded corners on the like bubbles. This is purely like UI, not UX. I just don't really like WhatsApp. Now, UX wise, so the difference between UI and UX, UI is like, what color should this button be? UX is the entire experience that a user has with your app. Yeah, it's like what does this process in the app make your user feel? And what app I think does a really good job at UX is actually Telegram. There have been so I'm a fairly new user of Telegram, but there have been several times as I've like discovered new features that I'm like, that was just a pleasant experience. Like just like seeing this tiny like micro interaction where it's like this tiny animation or something like that. I've just been really impressed with Telegram. So the look I'm going for will probably end up being kind of a mixture of Messenger and Telegram.
Right. Okay. So Messenger, though, I guess with the rounded stuff, has a lot of iMessage influence as well. Is there not like quite a kind of overlap there? I guess.
Yeah, I would say so. The big difference I would say is the well, yeah, the header bar and the like kind of action bar that's right above the keyboard. The bubbles for the most part look pretty similar because of the roundedness. I like the action bar in Facebook Messenger a lot better because it's cleaner. I feel like iMessage is very busy with like all the different apps at the bottom.
Right.
And so that's another reason I like Telegram, is because they keep their action bar pretty just like simple and clean.
Yeah.
And that's probably what I would go for starting out, because something I don't like about Messenger is that they have like all these different like companies and bots that they kind of,
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
not
their
put
business,
in your
right?
face.
Integrations.
Like,
Facebook's.
I mean, yeah, but it just seems like superfluous. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like they don't need to be there.
Having to be so primary within the app, I think, is probably something that people don't react very well to. Like if it was hidden in a menu somewhere, then there would be something. But having it be like, I mean, there's ads in there now as well. So,
Yes,
yeah.
and I can't stand that.
No.
There will
Well,
not be ads in Ditto.
Sorry?
There will not be ads in Ditto.
No, well, no. I mean, the thing is, it's really hard in an open source client because, you know, people will immediately fork and remove anyway. So it's all right. Cool. Yeah, this is great. I mean, so one thing I was going to bring up is it's interesting that you've obviously like thought a lot about UX of the existing market apps. It's perhaps something that not all users really think about. There are only so many ways to order chronological messages and display the sender, right? So people aren't necessarily going to think about the level of detail, but the fact that you're looking and thinking about like, oh, Telegram's got this really nice feature. It's really
yeah. I actually have, so one of my original things, I think this is relevant.
Yeah.
I really wanted to do something. I really wanted to do something different with the designs. So I actually have a friend of mine that is a UI UX designer that's sort of just helping me and working with me on it. And we went through probably like 5 to 10, like really considered them designs that had like a sidebar where you could like tap on each person, or like the current version in Test Flight is actually this like bottom slide up to see your inbox. And the reason we were doing that is literally just for experimentation, because I'm looking at all these different chat apps and I'm like, they're all exactly the same. Like, surely either that means that these have the best way of doing it, or they're just copying the best ones, and so nobody's innovating. So I wanted to just see if there was anything we could do. But
well, that's a good opportunity too. With the commercial market, it's really dangerous to go too far off piste. People expect things to look like pretty much either Slack or WhatsApp, and getting too far away from that is a dangerous thing, especially if you're a project manager at some huge company. Nobody gets in trouble for sticking with what they know, I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, open source has a good opportunity to get away from that.
And so actually, I think the reason that I'm going for a more traditional view now is simply because of the comfort of like the users, so that they don't see it and they're like, whoa, this is weird. I don't know what to do with this. So just to,
you've come to the same conclusion in just a more thoughtful way. All right, let's we're going to wrap up soon. Let's talk about the project status. So what is the current feature set? I had a play and it seemed pretty rich to me in terms of the user list. The messages are all, those two main screens are pretty mature, I think. So what are the features? What are the main features today?
Yeah, so today it is still a pretty young project. So you can log in with either Matrix or your own home server, and then like view each of your conversations and then send messages back and forth, and then log out. Unfortunately, there's not much more than that, but hey, it's a like very simple messaging app.
The that you would need for this. Yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm. So the immediate like roadmap that I would be focusing on is really, so this redesign is my priority right now. And really just like getting that locked in. Here's the new design. After that, registration, new messages probably after that, like starting a new message, which would include a little bit of like searching to find like more users. So that might get complicated.
Integration? Would you do, you know, WhatsApp pretty much doesn't have a user list other than the fact that it integrates with your contacts. Would you do the same as them, or would you have your own sort of inbuilt contacts the way Riot does?
I'm actually not sure about where I want to put a contacts list, because I've thought about this. This is something I've thought about with my designer friend. I don't really go to my contacts list to find somebody to message. I start a new message and then I like find their name, or I find it in my inbox. Okay. And so I've been pondering just putting the contact list kind of more hidden, like maybe in the settings. And so, yeah, I don't know exactly how search will work yet.
No, it's just an early days thinking thing.
Yeah, but notifications is definitely like high on my priority list, because if you don't have notifications, how are you going to message people? So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So start registration and starting new messages and notifications are sort of the immediate next things. End encryption, that feature. Where is that on your?
Oof.
Because I know that's something that everybody's going to ask about.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, like, I don't know how to quantify this. I would say, so like encryption is pretty important. So before I do encryption, I would probably do like a simple settings screen, and let you like change particular things about your account and stuff, and then also like log out. But then, so those 4 things that I've listed: registration, messages, notifications, like settings, essentially.
Yep.
I could probably like be convinced to do encryption after that. I'm a little scared to tackle it.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is an area that's going to get easier as other clients get more experience with it as well. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to get, you know, some amount of people who are willing to contribute. So we'll have to see about that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. It will be great. I mean, it'll change your role, I guess, because you'll now need to, like, you know, manage. But that's cool too. Okay, so people can get involved. The primary way of getting involved really is to go to the matrix room, join the matrix room, talk to you, and then look at the repo and all this kind of stuff. Is that?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, because I don't have so this is actually my first open source project. So I don't have a specific way for people to like do this exact thing to submit a merge request. Now, if somebody wants to get more involved with the code, then I would probably just talk to them like directly and sort of set up a time to like, let me take you through the repo and like explain some things. Let me kind of tell you like what my coding standards are and like just stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, cool. That's great. Thank you very much. I feel like I heard about Ditto Chat like 2 weeks ago. And now I'm really excited to, like, you know, actually get involved with it. I had wanted to do some Flutter as well, but I've always been a bit more affinity for React. So seeing React, pretty pleased about that myself.
Well, it's really like, I don't know, warmed my heart that like everyone has just been so excited and supportive of it. So, because I had kept it just like kind of closed source, like to myself for a while, because I was like, it's not ready to show the world. But yeah, everyone's been super great and like just giving me their ideas and been really positive. So
yeah, I mean, in general, we find the community they're pretty positive. I mean, people are like excited about Matrix. So yeah, you get an instant boost of people, you know, are predisposed to wanting you to win. So yeah, it's good. All right, any last thoughts before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. I think that's all from me.
Cool. All right, well, check out Ditto Chat, and we'll make sure that all the links are available. See you soon. Bye-bye, Matrix.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.